Today we are going to discuss some tips and tricks which other scratchers should know about. I'll discuss some common tips and tricks and also some which I have found out myself. I don't know if other people have found it out or not, but today I would present quite a few of them. So let's get started. So I will start by creating a sprite and then I will simply draw a circle at the center of the sprite. For now, I will head on to the codes tab and I'll drag in the when green flag clicked block from the events category and then also attach the repeat 10 block to it and make it go to random position and create a clone of it after each time it goes to a random position. So I would click the green flag to test if it is working. So let's see. Yeah, it is working. You can see that the actual sprite is located in -102x and -180y. So you can see that when I drag it, there is its clone behind it. So we don't want the actual sprite to be shown on the stage, we want it to be hidden. So we can simply drag in the hide block before everything is cloned. So before the repeat block, we will just put the hide block. And obviously I will also drag in the when I start as a clone block and put the show block with it so that the clones can be seen. Now you can see that the clones are visible but the actual sprite is hidden. Okay, this is working pretty good. Now you can see that when I drag any clone, there isn't actually anything behind it. It is actually a clone of it and not the actual sprite. Okay, so now moving on to the next step, I would make some circles of different colors and I'll just remove the outline. Before you continue watching the rest of the video, I want to remind you to click the like button and subscribe to me for more such videos. Okay, now first, before everything is cloned, we will set the costume to the first costume, and after each clone is created, we want to change the costume, so we will simply drag in the next costume after the create clone of myself block. So now let us click the green flag and you can see that it is working pretty good. Now different colors sprites are green. Okay, so we will create another sprite and I will do no paintings in it. I will simply drag in the broadcast message block and create the message name as make the blue ball do something. Okay, so here I will tell that I only want the blue ball's clone to do something and not the other ones or not the actual sprite. I can see that I will not make it suddenly broadcast the message as soon as the projected. I want to do it a bit later, so I will also put the wait 2 seconds block before it. So now you can see that I have made it do something. I have made it move 10 steps. Now you can see that they are moving 10 steps but all the clones are moving and not the blue ball only. So now what we want to do is we want to set some IDs for each of the clones. So for that we need to use variables. Okay, so let us head on to the variables category and make a variable. I will name it hash and remember to set it to for this sprite only, because when you set it to for this sprite only and when a clone is created with a particular value in that variable, then that value does not change for the clone if you change it from the actual sprite's code. Now you can see that I have done the same thing, as I have changed the costume after the create clone of myself and set to the first costume. Just like that, I have done it with the variable. I have set it to 1 at the first, and then I have changed the variable by 1 after each clone has been created. Now you can see that each of the clones says its own ID. Now each of them has its unique ID, so each of the clones can be distinguished. Okay, so now we can test it by dragging in the if block. By in the if block, you can see that in the costumes tab, the second costume is the blue costume. So obviously when the blue costume was cloned, at that time the hash variable was 2. So I will drag in the if block and cover the code in it with it and put the if hash is equal to 2 as its operator. Now you can see that only the blue ball moves and not the other clones. Okay, so now we can move the say hash block because we just brought in to debug the project. Okay, now I'll create a broadcast message called change sprite once color effect by 25, and then I'll press enter. Now what we want to do is we want the original sprite to change its color by 25 and not the clones. So for this case, what you can do is we can see that when I drag in the change color effect by 25 block, all the clones change its color effect by 25 and not the original sprite. Now I will create a variable and set it to for this sprite only called is this a clone, and at the first in the original sprite's code hat I will set it to is this a clone to 0, and when a clone is created I will set it to is this a clone to 1. So for the clones the variable is this a clone is 1, but for the original sprite it's always 0. So I will do it if is this a clone is equal to 0, then only change color effect by 25. So I would show up the original sprite before the change color effect block takes place, and also we can't understand whether the sprite is actually changing its color because they will be upon another clone. So I will make it go to random position again. Let's move on to the next step. Now I will go to my stuff page. For this step I need to show you something else. I will show you my Space Wanderer project for it because I want to show you something interesting. It is actually a feature that shows you the clones. Before I move on to it, I want to show that when this feature is useful. Actually, when your project is very big, when it has many sprites and almost all the sprites create clone of itself throughout the project, so you can't have a record of how many clones are being created. So you might suddenly run out of clone limit and you might think that, oh, what happened? I didn't know when I exhausted my clone limit. Where did the clone are the clones being created? I want to know it. So for that, you want to keep a record of how many clones are being created while you are playtesting your game after creating it. Okay, so for this, you simply search Chrome Web Store in your Chrome browser and search Scratch add-ons. Now you click on the Scratch add-ons and it gets installed quickly, and we'll close all the tabs, and you can see that it has been added to the top right corner of my Google Chrome window. Now you can see that when I click the flag and when the clones are created, there it is being shown that the number of clones on the stage are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now if I hide the actual sprite, we can see that there are really 5 clones, and this is what I'll create a list called random name. This is just for example, as I can't think of a name right now. Okay, so I will fill in random words in each item of the list, and I will just create 2 items for now, just for example. Now suppose you wanted to search if any item from the list contains a particular thing or not. You can see that when we use the list contains thing block from the variables category and put it in the word trolley as the word it will search for, it shows false, although it actually exists in one of the item of the list. To prevent this, you can drag in the apple contains a block from the operators category, and now if you put the random name list as the place where it will search up and put the word trolley for what is to be searched, it shows true, and hence it is working. Now I want to show you how to make your text look more appealing or more nice. So suppose I have a text, I will just give a random text called random text, and I will set it to center. And now you can see that it doesn't look pretty good. So what we can do is we will set the outline of the text to the fill of the text, and you can see that it already looks pretty good. And now if we set the outline to 3, it looks better, a lot better. And I have noticed that in text in caps lock looks pretty much better than text written in normal case. Okay, so the next thing is font. I like this font, but the font is totally your choice. What you like, you can use that font. Text to center and the X I put to. Now I will copy and paste the same text, and what you can do is if you double click the zoom button, then press the shift up arrow key and shift left arrow key, then it sets a copy and pasted object to the same position as its mother, means as the position of the place it was created in. Now to add extra effects, you can follow the steps. These are totally optional. I prefer these kind of text with effects, especially for titles, or suppose you can use these kind of effect applied texts in your project thumbnails. Moving on to the next step. Suppose you wanted to make a clone detect if it is touching the actual sprite it is a clone of. I am creating a super simple sprite with 2 costumes, one called sprite and the other called clone. Now I will switch the costume to the one called clone under the when green flag clicked block, and switch the costume back to the one called sprite and move it away from the clone by using the change y by minus 100 block. Now I will make it go to the mouse pointer forever when a clone is created. This one I am just showing as an example. You can use it with any kind of movement. I will create a variable called my sprite's name, and I'm going to set it to the sprite's name. In your case, you need to set it exactly to the name of the sprite in which you are creating the variable. now replace the forever block with the repeat until block and set its condition to until touching something, and in the place of detecting what it is touching, I will put in the my sprite's name variable. We can see that it is working. When the clone touches the actual sprite, the program stops.